The July 25th, 2022 regular Wasilla City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business to attend to during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you are participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to all attendees, this meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located directly in back of council chambers right above the clock. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Rubio. Here. Councilmember Vlock is absent unless there's objection from the body. You have a quorum, Madam Mayor, with Councilmembers Graham, Johnson, Brown, and Rubio with us in council chambers. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard is participating telephonically.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge, and Councilmember Johnson, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business is approval of the agenda. Are there changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move AM 2224 to new business, please.
Okay, is there any other? Okay,
Mayor, I move to approve the agenda.
thank you.
Second.
Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as amended. There is no special orders of the day, so we'll move on to commission and agency reports. The Airport Advisory Commission, Public Works Director Bob Walden.
Madam Mayor. No real surprises, just continuing trying to secure some FAA funding to extend the runway, and the board is in complete support of that, and that's pretty much it. It was a real quick meeting. Lasted, I think, 12 minutes.
Madam Mayor.
Is there questions from the council?
Madam Mayor. Bob, you said that you're working with the FAA. Are you working with the local people, or is this a program out of DC?
Working with the two local Anchorage folks to secure that grant. It's hanging out there. We'll bring to you guys here and some more legislation to further explain it.
Sure. Do you know it's the department number, which part of the FAA? I'm just curious because, I mean, as my credentials through the ACO, the FAA ACO, I was just curious if it was the local airport people or whether it's the projects group.
Yes, I believe it is the local Anchorage branch. They've all changed hands in the last year, so there are two new folks, and it's just escaping my memory right now. But Patrick had moved on. That's who we dealt with last year. So it's Patrick's our partner.
Thank you.
Finance Director.
Yeah, just to kind of add to that, the funding that Bob is referring to was requisitioned, or at least we were noticed through Murkowski. So what that means, though, is we will now are gathering the data to apply for a master plan study to do that, and that's what that funding was identified for. And now we are doing the legwork, working with the Anchorage office to then be able to submit an application for the grant. Which after acceptance would then come back to the council for approval and acceptance.
Thank you for the information.
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Graham?
Thanks. So in my packet, I don't have a copy of minutes from the meeting. Were there minutes of the meeting and I just didn't get them, or? Certainly.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to Councilmember Graham, I believe that there wasn't sufficient turnaround time, so you will see those at, I'm guessing, the next packet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions on Parks and Rec? So we move on to Parks and Rec. Scott Bell.
Scott Bell, Recreational Services Director. Reporting on the Park and Rec Commission meeting. It was July 13th at the Menard Sports Center. Reviewed a couple of the things that we had passed. One was the Alaska Bow Hunters ordinance that has gone through, and our understanding through Park and Rec that they've already kind of begun some of the clearing of the land for that project. Reported an active 4th of July with the Mayor's Picnic, the Mayor's Parade with, I think guest attendance is approximately 10,000 with over 80 floats. The Mayor's Picnic, we had approximately 4,000 in attendance for that. As everyone knows, we did cancel the fireworks show due to fire conditions and fire concerns. Overall, the music in the park season, we had that all through June with the finale in July. And on that one, we had anywhere from 300 to 800 people at each of those, and had that as a great success. We're already working with the promoter that did the event about bringing them back and adding a few more components in that a little bit. Let's see, we've got started our Parks Passport, which is just kind of a fun little booklet for the kids that has all the different parks for the city of Wasilla. They pick up the booklet at the Menard Sports Center, library, Public Works, and I believe the museum. And the concept is that the kids get these passports, get a chance to get out and see all the things that the city has to offer. So that's been kicked off. We still have the Seat D on the commission open. And part of what we're working on is naming the Menard Trailhead area playground. It's not a park, so we can't name it a park. So we're going to be working on giving that an official name. And reached out to the commissioners and to the community. We're looking for volunteers to be involved with 4th of July picnic, park passport program, cleanup days, skate the lake, New Year's Eve celebration, and our Arbor Day walk run, tree planting and seedling. So anybody has interest, reach out to us on that. That'd be great. And that is a summary of our Park and Rec meeting.
Any questions? Mr. Graham?
A couple things. You mentioned seedlings. Are seedlings available to the general public? If so, when and where?
I believe they were ordered in February or March, and they still have not arrived. We hoped they were going to be here by end of July. I'll need to get you an update on that, but we still do not have any data on those.
Okay,
Once we do, we'll announce it and have those available.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. And the second question would be, is during our budget approval, many months ago, we talked about some improvements to Nunley Park over here across the street to thin out the tree line over there, so there's less attractiveness to undesired campers over there, and also some aesthetic improvements for lighting. Is that Public Works doing that project? Is that Parks and Rec doing that project? Is there a project? I guess is the bottom line.
Park and Rec does not have that as our project. I believe it was a Public Works that may or may not have made it through translation from changeover, I think, staff, but I don't have a specific report on that.
Graham, I vaguely remember that, but I don't believe Lynn has any plans that I've seen on that one yet. The only thing I was aware of lifting the playgrounds by the swings in the area that floods every spring. So I will check with Lynn on that.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to hear from that next meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, any more questions for Parks and Rec? None. We are now at public participation. There are no public hearings scheduled, so we'll move directly to persons to be heard. Mr. Stearns, you're up first, and they have 3 minutes per person. And please start by announcing your first and last name.
Good evening. My name is Tom Stearns. I'm the Senior Ambassador for the Wasilla Area Seniors Incorporated. We have all of our board seats filled. Chuck Foster, who is the CEO, who is now retired, has become the last person to fill the seat, and he'll have the seat for 2.5 months till October, till we have to vote again in our annual meeting. So that's the first good news. And then we have our gardening project in Willow House. They were setting up the gardens and stuff like that. Those are all set up. They've got the dirt. They're planting. And everybody is a happy camper because they all have all this great fruit, and they come by my office. They show me all this great stuff that they have. So they're happy. And the gardening project is going well. We have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've added 5 new management team members. We have a new operations manager, Julie Ludden. We have a new outreach services manager, Danielle Pond. We have a new kitchen manager, Catherine Cat Kenny, and a new financial assistant, Linda Lawler, and our adult day program manager, Melissa Sonic. She's going to be out there at Mid-Valley, and they're going to be doing adult day program out there, and she's the manager of that. And that's going to start on the 1st of August. Right now, they're remodeling Mid-Valley, and so that project that has been pretty much accomplished, and she'll be going out there on the 1st of August. She's already here, and she's working, and so the good news here, we just got done with our fundraiser and stuff, and so now we've added all these new things that we're doing, and we're moving forward, okay, and it's an exciting time, and we're really doing well. And then we had our board of directors meeting on last Thursday. In the executive session, 2 things happened. Chuck Foster was nominated and became one of our board of directors. Then the other thing was that James Drayton, who was our CEO, resigned. And so we don't have a CEO right now, but can I come out? Okay. We don't have a CEO right now, but we are in such a great place. We are going to be moving forward, and we're going to be seeing great things happen for WASI. And one person does not an organization make. And so we're going to press forward and do great and mighty things. So, any questions?
Mr. Graham?
You mentioned several new positions. Are these new positions, or are these people stepping into existing positions? It sounds like the Mid-Valley one was new. What about
The Mid-Valley one is new. The financial assistant, Linda Lawler, is new. Kitchen manager is replacing Toby, who was here. The ops manager is replacing another person that left. So, okay, you're right.
So essentially, it's 2 new positions.
Yes.
Well, I was just curious because there was a grant request from WASI saying that they needed more money, and it didn't mention anything about new positions.
Right.
So I was just trying to get things straight in my mind. Thank you, Tom.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Mr. Johnson?
All right, Tom, are these positions that you mentioned, are they like paid positions, or are they volunteer, or what's?
No, they're all paid positions. either got, I'm not sure how they get paid. I presume they're grants, and, because that's the way we do business, is grants. And so, anybody else?
Mr. Stearns, they've not had anybody up at Mid-Valley, have they, during the day?
No. Actually, it's been closed for the last month or so while they're getting it fixed. And so, yeah, so you're right. It hasn't been anybody out there, yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir.
All right.
And next is Brad Laborin. And please forgive me if I butcher your name.
That's all right. I've been called a lot worse.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Brad Labor, and I live over at the end of Bailey Lane, right next to the Sports Center. And my question is, do you guys have any plans on dealing with all the extra traffic back there around Lake Lucille? You can't even drive on Lake Lucille Drive. It just beats your car up so bad that it hasn't been paved. It's been prepped for paving 3 or 4 times since I've lived back there for 24 years, and it's never gotten done. Funds either get misappropriated or used someplace else. And I didn't know if you had any plans. They're gonna put in that new subdivision. It's gonna be like 70-some homes right there off the end of Corky. I don't know if you're gonna plan on doing anything to improve those roads or any way to deal with all that extra traffic. That's
Bob, do you have any?
Yes, we're paving 2,200 lineal feet of the Lake Lucille here this fall. And
How
that
much
puts
is
us
it?
just past 2,200 lineal feet,
Where does that take it to?
just past the creek.
Oh, past the creek?
Just past the creek. And then the following season, it'll be done all the way to Corky and Bailey. And the project you speak of probably will not even be tied in till 2024, the third phase.
Yeah, but we've already got like 10 times more traffic back there than we've had when I moved
Okay.
back there, you know.
Sir, you two can talk
I
after.
thought he was talking to me, sorry.
No, that's okay, but you guys can talk after because you don't want to talk to him for your 3 minutes.
And then I'm not sure what Billy and Heather are here for, but I know I've been to their programs over there at the Menard Center probably 90% of the time and always feel like they do a really good job and do a good thing for the community there. And I like going over there to their events. They've always been good. And also heard something about the bow and arrow thing over there. We have that property right next to there. And I know when we were riding the four-wheelers in there, that grass is real tall. It kind of scares me if people are shooting their bow and arrows over there. I mean, kids are riding four-wheelers and stuff over there. So I'm not sure how safe that's going to be.
Same conversation you can have
Yeah.
with him.
Well, I didn't know, it's first I heard about that, or I might have, so. Anyway, there are plans to improve Lake Lucille, sounds like. Good, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Larry Cole.
I'm going to bring another rat to the table here. My name's Larry Call. I live 1931 Lake Lucille Drive. I'm the first new home at the end of the blacktop where the mailboxes are at. And that road right now, honest to God, you guys ought to be ashamed of yourself, every one of you, to let a road go like that. How many of you people live on blacktop? You have blacktop in front of your house? You do? Do you? Are you on gravel or are you in blacktop?
It's not really blacktop, yeah.
Okay, are you on blacktop? No, you're on gravel? Okay, are you on blacktop? Gravel? Okay, I can't see her, so. How about you, sir?
Blacktop.
Blacktop?
Blacktop.
Blacktop, okay. Now, I've heard that the road, now, I couldn't hear what he said about doing hard surface on that road, but I understand that the money has been appropriated for that for several years, and it just keeps getting put off and put off and put off, and I don't understand why. Right now, if you guys want a real thrill, go out and drive that road. It's only 5 minutes from here, and by the time you get to where the city maintenance ends, your vehicle will be crying. It is so bad. It's just horrible. There's not one little pothole. It's just one. And the street maintenance, they'll come through, they'll pick a dry day. When I've been doing this stuff for 50 years, I'm supposed to be retired, I'm just more retarded, but they need to cut this road. Don't just blade over, pull some dirt from the side of the road and fill the holes, and then 2 days later, all the rock and all the dirt's blown out of the holes. They need to cut it and compact it. That would be a good starter. But, you know, if they're going to spend the money of doing that amount to it, they should do it right, and they're not doing it right. The maintenance there is horrible. I talked to the police department in the past several times. I have not seen a cruiser on that road since last year. If they're coming through really late at night. I'm up late. I'm up real late. And it'd be nice to see people slowing down. It's 25-mile-an-hour speed limit there. There's people coming sideways across my place. I've got rocks in my grass from where they slide when they come through. So anyway, I'm getting short on time. I really wish you people would drive that road right now and look at it. And then I would feel better about it because you could understand what we're putting up with. It's destroying people's cars. There's rocks. It's just insane. It is, you know, I guess that's about all I got to say. I just wish, I need your help. People there need your help. Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Mayor? So, Mr. Call, number one, thank you for being here to testify, but have you been reporting these issues to the city through Public Works?
Yes.
Through the online
Yes.
stuff?
And when they're blading out there, I go out and talk to the guy. I said, why don't you do it? He said, I'm just doing my job. And
But have you talked, you know, when you report these to the city, they typically go through the director and down, as opposed to, it's a lot harder to go from
I
the
just,
bottom up.
I call and say, hey, when can you guys hit this road? It's really, really bad. You know, when are you gonna do? Well, it's on the agenda, and I don't know when this agenda's gonna happen. I mean, you know, we pay taxes. I mean, my taxes are really high, I think, for there, and I can barely use that road. I wouldn't let my wife walk on the road or with the dog or anything, or ride bicycles, because they drive so fast. It's somebody's gonna get hurt out there. They seriously are. So,
To write down your name and address.
Once again, I appreciate your being here, and I certainly hope you'll keep the city advised through their not automated system, but you can go through the website and let your concerns be known.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Senator Wilson.
Good evening. For the record, I'm David Wilson, also your senator for District D, and I'm also a city council resident. This is my first opportunity to come to address the council after we get out of session with no conflicts with other state business. Just want to give a quick update on some of the major issues or happenings that happened in Juneau that may affect the city. First, the Arctic Winter Games, we were able to secure another $1 million. That's going to be a wonderful opportunity for commerce in the city of Wasilla, as that will have an influx of folks, and that wonderful sales tax revenue that the city so much enjoys will hopefully have a little bump during that time. That's in 2024. And I know that the borough's having those planning meetings now, and I hope that the city takes an active role to make sure that we can show our best foot forward in those upcoming years. Obviously, the GEO bond package failed in the Senate. It didn't go out of transportation. I don't serve on that committee, and I'm a little disappointed that it didn't make it up to the finance committee so we can give it a good vetting. Obviously, the airport is still a major issue and a great opportunity for growth within our city. The alcohol bill passed, which is a partial win for the city. It's not a full win, but a lot of those folks that were huge opponents for what the city of Wasilla wanted for more local control are no longer will be returning to Juneau as they're retiring, and so hopefully we will have another good put forth a good effort at the next legislative session. We worked well with Mr. Butcher in the back, and just want to say thank you for his help and a wonderful participation and testimony for the bill that we have for MATCOM. to make it a crime to harass those dispatchers. It made it to the last day, just failed to make it for a floor vote due to some other politics. They're afraid that they're going to stuff other governor's crime bill into that piece of legislation. But it's a wonderful piece of legislation going forth, so hopefully next session we can take that and hit the ground running, as it did make it through one body and almost through to the final step in the other body. The infrastructure bill, the IJA funds, is going to be more detailed information forthcoming, probably depending on what happened. We may have another special session, maybe October or beginning of January, to dole out some more funds for communities for infrastructure projects. Obviously, the bond package for the borough, which dealt with $30 million, did pass additional funding, which does, I think, take care of 2 roads. I know one's that Herman punched through Sort of Meridians now has full funding, so that will hopefully take some stress out through the city of those bypass. And the full funding for community revenue sharing also occurred as well. And personally, some other pieces of personal legislation that we passed was the STAR bill to help our search and rescue folks get right of first refusal, and the telehealth to expand telehealth services also was signed into law. So I think that's about it. Just want to say, I know Billy's here, and that just want to say I'm hope that there is an amicable resolution, as my predecessor when I was on city council was a huge proponent of that, and they did a wonderful job honoring Mr. Lovell during that opportunity when I was city council. So thank you for your time.
Any council questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy Robinson.
Good evening, Mayor Ledford, council members. My name is Mary Randy Robinson, a city resident and also, full disclosure, a part-time city employee at the library. As often happens in a small community, I'm going to wear several hats this evening, so bear with me. First, I'd like to say, as a city resident and a senior and an advocate for my house in Wassy, I want to thank you for introducing ordinance serial number 22-26 with the possibility of amending the Wasilla Municipal Code and continuing to move forward on the Grants Policy Committee. So thank you for that. As a city resident, as a library employee, but also as a member of the Friends of the Library, I just want to quickly tell you about our summer reading program, and thanks to generous donations from Wasilla businesses, individuals, and the Friends of the Library. Once again, they're having a wonderful summer reading program. The staff does an amazing job. I don't include myself in that because I'm only there for 8 hours a week, but nevertheless, the staff does a wonderful job. And this is the last week, and they're wrapping up with an art adventure at the museum, which is a wonderful collaboration between the library and the museum. They're having a movie Wednesday, Honey, I Shrank the Kids, and then Friday the 29th of July, from 6 to 8 p.m., they're having a wrap-up of the summer reading program with crafts and snacks and prizes and all sorts of fun things. And the demand has been just incredible. Summer story time had to be split into 2 sessions due to the demand. There's approximately 60 to 80 kids and parents each session, so almost 200 people every week for story time. I mean, that's incredible, really, when you stop to think how busy people are and so many people commute. Not my thing, but there was a session with reptiles and that drew 200 people. They had a representative from the Alaska Zoo brought a porcupine, that drew 300 people. Who knew? The porcupines were so entertaining. And I also want to thank Mr. Bell, because the Wasilla Parks Passport, Tammy Ostrom came by and dropped off the Parks Passport, and that tied in perfectly with the library, because the summer reading program is read off the beaten path, camping. So it was just, again, collaboration. I'm a big believer in collaboration, because then the 2 entities become stronger. So may I answer any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Randy. Billy Christensen.
Hello, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Billy Christensen. I'm a 3rd-generation Alaskan. I'm the co-owner of AK Entertainment. We've been doing business here at the Menard Sports Complex, putting on events since 2011. I'm also the co-owner of the beer and wine recreational site permit, beer and wine permit there at the Menard Sports Complex, which we've had successfully without citation for 8 years. I'm here to ask you, Madam Mayor, to plead to you to please reconsider the most recent decision for AK Entertainment to no longer be allowed to conduct business at the Menard Sports Complex. We've held over 170 successful shows. We've provided over $350,000 in rental alone to the Menard Sports Complex or to the city of Wasilla, which far surpasses any other entity in the city since its inception. Recently with this decision, this has completely crushed our business. And, we just beg for an opportunity to talk to you and to anybody else who will listen to us to give us to address the concerns that Mr. Bell had brought forward. We beg of you to allow us to go over these concerns and find some sort of common ground or some answer to these concerns. Some of them are easily explainable, definitely fixable, and traditionally we've held a meeting annually with the mayor and with the executive director of the facility, which would be Scott in this case right now. And through that annual meeting, we talk about the concerns one way or the other. This year, we forwarded our concerns, and our reply was, "You're no longer welcome," without any reasoning. So we pleaded, and we asked the city council members, and we asked representatives, and we asked senators, please help us here. We're drowning. This is our business. This is our family business that we've built for over a decade. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars on our business. For what? For a guy that doesn't like us, and so he decides to say you're not welcome. It took 3 weeks for us to get a reply back, just to get an answer of why are we not welcome. And then when we replied to the answers of why we're not welcome, then it was you're not welcome, and furthermore, you can't talk to any member of the city or on the city payroll unless it's through our attorney. We're not suing anybody. We're not trying to take no one to court. We're just trying to do business. And I thought City of Wasilla was open for business and open for discussion and finding common ground. And that's not what I'm finding right here. Madam Mayor, I remember in your campaign you said you have an open door policy, and it's been awfully hard to open your door.
Okay, your time is up.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is Heather Christensen.
My name is Heather Christensen. I am part owner of AK Entertainment, doing business as Alaska Combat Entertainment, and the beer and wine license. Like my husband previously stated, we've been in business with the Menard Center for over 10 years now. So this is kind of a blow to us, We'd like to be able to come in still and do business. We'd still like to be able to maybe rectify whatever it is, maybe some issues that definitely can be rectified. Here in my packet I have here today is an email train from the very beginning of this, and support letters and attachments that were with the emails. So if you guys would like to look at those, I'm more than happy to distribute those. But our main reason here today is to let us, asking you to please let us continue, and give us a chance. We've gone 10 years without any huge incidences or any damage to the facility or anything like that, and then all of a sudden, read into this really closely, there's really not good supporting reasons for us not to be there. Unless there's something else going on that we don't know about, maybe, that needs to be brought forward. But whatever the reasons were in this email, I don't feel that they were sufficient to be justified in any kind of way. And any questions?
Madam Mayor? So Heather, are you the administrator, takes care of the administrative thing, as far as requesting permits and licenses and that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
And then secondly, obviously this kind of sounds like a part-time thing. This is not a full-time gig.
It's seasonal. When it's in the season, it's definitely full-time. But yes, it's a seasonal thing. We come in, what do we say, for the fish and after the moose seasons.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
David Owens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm David Owens. I'm a member of the community, live here in Wasilla, across the lake, 1355 South Endeavor Street. I have a business here, Owens Inspection Services in Matsu. And I'm here in support of Billy and Heather and AK Entertainment. I'm one of the judges at the fights when they have them. I grew up, been a lifelong Alaskan, moved here in 1962. Grew up in boxing, boxed Golden Gloves when I was a youth. Was trained by middleweight champion of the world, Archie Moore, for a week anyway. Inspired us, the sport inspired us to be what we are. But anyway, to say to us, you're no longer welcome, it's just saying it to a lot of residents, not just one business. And, I think it should be looked at. Asking the council to take another look at this and see if this really rises to the level of dismissing somebody from the facility. There's a lot of us. I've been to every event in 21 and 22 that's held at the Menard Center. I did not see anything that was inappropriate, any activity that was inappropriate. So I'm just asking you to take a look at it and please do what you can to make this right. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Antonio
Albacci.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Tony Albacci. I've been Billy Christensen's friend long time, since we were kids. Anyway, I've been a part of fights since the beginning of them, and it's been good for the community. It's been a really good time. Anyway, I stand in support of them. I'm also a resident, and I stand with Billy and Heather Christensen. Questions?
Madam Mayor? Billy, did you say you were a fighter or a participant?
Tony.
Tony, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do timekeeping.
Okay, so in your role, right there next to the ring and exchanging with the fighters there, do you see people at the venue that are fighting that have kind of straightened their lives out because now they have a purpose?
Absolutely.
To move forward?
Just like Mr. Owens just said, he grew up a Golden Glove boxer. And I mean, that was a direction for his life.
Thank you.
Dan Taylor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. My name is Dan Taylor. I'm a resident of the city. I got annexed. I'm off Vine. So, yes, I retired here maybe 4 years ago. And after I retired, I became an assistant coach and the head coach at Houston High School for the high school and the middle school. And did that for 3 years. I got to the point where I couldn't get up off the mat very easily, so then I volunteered my time to Alaska Combat Entertainment, and I fully support Billy and Heather and in their endeavors. It's been a very engaging sport, and a lot of people come. And for Mr. Graham, will tell you that I've seen people with drug abuse problems and stuff come in, and they are in there fighting for people that have had problems, and really obviously every time supports that. We've gone through that many times during the fights of supporting that kind of thing. I have a problem understanding why the Menard Center reject that kind of a business. Obviously generates revenue, and obviously if they deny a business coming in that would generate that kind of revenue, they must be running in the black, because I don't know, as a taxpayer, how much does the taxpayer pay to continue keeping the Menard Center open. They won't allow a revenue company come in and make a little revenue. I don't know where the burden is. Anybody answer that?
Yeah,
Scott?
Mayor.
We'll let all these people testify. And then, after you're off the record, you can have a discussion.
Very good, thank you.
Jamie Bailey.
Hey everybody, my name is Jamie Bailey. I'm a Valley resident. I'm not actually a resident of Wasilla, but I'm here to represent Billy and them in their endeavor to make sure that they can still be at the Menard Center. You know, I think in society there's always going to be an aggression. There's young men growing up. They got to vent themselves, and even though we're becoming more and more of a civilized society, the therapy isn't always at the therapist. Sometimes it's the physical aggression, whether it's from hockey or your basketball, or your football. Some young men, they choose boxing. I was one of those young men. I was 19 years old. They were sneaking us into the bars in Anchorage. Since then, I've been Alaska's twice state tough man champion. I was a world quarterfinalist champion in 2000, the World Tough Man, represented Alaska down in Bay City. Something I'd like you all to consider is that we know that Billy's going to find a place to throw these fights, regardless of whether we can go to the Menard Sports Center or not. But for the community's safety, it would be so much better at the Menard Sports Center. We have access for emergency vehicles. Never is the venue at maximum capacity. He's been very responsible for the beer and liquor. I've seen them turn off people when they're drinking a half an hour before the fight because they know that these people have to go home. I've seen the waitresses cut them off, and that's a responsibility you don't always get at the local bar or any other place. People really need a place to vent, and it's wintertime in Alaska. People need to gather and have a healthy event, a place where they can have some fellowship. The young men can let out their aggressions, be young men in a safe environment where we have refs and people, cutting it off and not letting them push themselves too far, too hard, where they're going to have any kind of permanent damage, hopefully, of course. But I really think you should consider, because the Menard Center is the ideal place. I mean, just to be able to get the emergency vehicle in there to help somebody if something does happen. The parking space, it's never at maximum capacity. And of course, the revenue is generating. It seems like it's really good for the community. I truly hope whatever reason they have for rejecting them from the Menard Center will reconsider, because, the record shows that it's been a positive outlook for the community. That's really all I have to say about it. And sir, I really respect listening to you tonight, going through all this and reminding people of the things you've talked about. I really found that very uplifting. Thanks, guys.
Mark Weaver.
Hello, Madam Mayor, City Council members, community. My name is Mark Weaver. I'm the president of Fallen Up Ministries, a nonprofit that helps people pursue long-term recovery from substance use disorder. I'm also one of the founding members of the Matsu Opioid Task Force as were Heather and Billy. So I have a little different approach with this. I've also been I've been attending the fights since inception, and I'm also a judge at the fights. I'm a former fighter myself, and I'm a father in this community. I very much believe in promoting physical health and healthy recreation. And I know as a member of the recovery community, we often, we planned our lives around this event, and I know Alaska Combat Entertainment will find a venue, but I would just prefer that, we have this large sports multi-use complex, and, we often, we have trade shows and other things going on there, and I just think it would just be a travesty to not hold one of the largest draws of sports entertainment in the state. It actually brings revenue from all over the state. We've had fighters come in from Canada, from the lower 48. We've had fighters, move up from fighting in Alaska and go to the UFC and other professional combat promotions. And so it's something that I just very much believe in, it's a benefit for the larger Wasilla community. And by people coming from all over the state, it generates revenues for businesses here. And it also, from the father aspect of it, I've raised 3 children in this community, and I often, their friends just can't wait till they're old enough to test what they've been training for, and I just very much believe in Alaska Combat Entertainment and what it brings to this community. They've also every event, they're always doing something for the community. Whether it's helping to bury a loved one that died in some tragedy, or some tragic accident, or just that's always been a focus. Is like, we're not just here to make money. It's really also to just better benefit the health and well-being of our community. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and that's my 3 minutes.
Any questions, council? Thank you. Jamie Donnelly. Ariel Cannon.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for providing the opportunity for all of us to provide input here at this meeting today. I'm a resident of Meadow Lakes, live along Beverly Lake Road.
Please state your name.
Ariel Cannon. I'd like to read a letter of support into the record and provide the letter to the council. Greetings, Mayor Ledford and Wasilla City Council members. For the past 6 years, Meadow Lakes Community Council's Gaming Committee has had the privilege of operating the Split the Pot raffle as a part of the Entertainment Alaska Combat Entertainment's event. It used to be AK Tuesday Night Fights. This show has provided for the bulk of MLCC's gaming permit revenue. As part of our gaming permit stipulations, MLCC donates a portion of gaming proceeds to other nonprofits that benefit area residents. Some of the organizations MLCC donates to provide beneficial service to Wasilla City residents as well. These organizations include Wasilla Area Seniors, Kids Don't Float with the Rotary, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, Kids Cupboard, and Family Promise, just to name a few. Over the years of being involved in Entertainment's Alaska Combat Entertainment Show as MLCC's Gaming Permit Project Manager, and as an event volunteer, I have noticed how much the gaming committee members and volunteers enjoy participating in the show as they operate the Split the Pot game. Some of these gaming committee members are super volunteers, and I imagine the possible loss of this opportunity would only be slightly less disappointing than it would be to some of the patrons who are enjoying their only evening of entertainment for the entire month. Meadow Lakes Community Council implores the City of Wasilla to allow for the continued lease of the Menards Sports Complex turf field to AK Entertainment so that the excellent Alaska Combat Entertainment Show can be enjoyed by Wasilla residents and visitors in an equally excellent venue. Respectfully, Ariel Cannon, MLCC Gaming Committee Chair, and Gaming Committee members Camden Yell, Trish Jacob, Sherry Rusher, Julie Starr, Terry Boyle, and 2022 volunteers Tina and Julie. And on a separate quick note, I encourage the City of Wasilla to coordinate and cooperate with the cities of Palmer and Houston, as well as the state and federal government on large area-wide infrastructure projects such as water, sewer, and a freeway circuit. And a quick note for Brad, the gentleman with the road issues. As a member of Meadow Lakes Community Council, we had road issues as soon as Selden was extended onto Beverly Lakes, and we petitioned the neighbors to install speed bumps. And it was successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's not signed up that would like to speak at this time? Come forward, please.
Sorry I was late. I went to the Borough Building in Palmer. My name is Leslie Wright. As one of the very first judges 10 years ago for combat entertainment, fast forward to successful entertainment for the Valley, I think that it is positive in many ways for not only residents to have something to do. We don't have a whole lot out here, as most of us know. It's always been very respectful. Again, the parking, the convenience. I was under the impression that the Menard Center was a multi-use complex for the Valley. And I didn't know, I don't know the reasonings exactly behind it, but I didn't know that A, B, or C could be excluded for, minor reasons. I could see maybe major reasons, but I don't think that it's fair if it's minor and it can be reconciled and worked out. I truly think that it needs to continue. Not only does it bring in revenue, whether it be huge for the Valley or whether it be small for the Valley, it is these guys' livelihood. I've grown up with Billy. I've known him since we were small children. It's his lifelong dream. It's something he loves to do. He loves to put forth entertainment. I mean, it's like, watching yourself from when you started to, being that producer. I just think it's a positive thing, and if we can keep it going, I think it's beneficial for everyone involved. That's all. I'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you. Oh, did you have any questions? Sorry.
I'm sorry, can you
Leslie Wright.
last name?
Right, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
My name's on the paper, so. Mine's not. I took off of work to come in. I also sent you guys a letter. My name's Atlantis McFadden. I've been the main server for the last 3 years. I believe that they should be able to stay put. They bring in a huge amount of revenue. Someone else just brought up the fact that we have no other events that go on. This is one of the only local events we have. Everyone's a family. We have so many families that come in, that have their fighters, that have their kids. Everyone's with their families, their parents. Everyone takes care of each other. This is, as a single working mom that's local, 1911 local, my family is. Like, this is a big part. This is something that pays my bills once a month. I have 4 jobs. This is one of them. These people are absolutely amazing at what they do. The fact that they keep it as controlled as they do for what it is, that's amazing, you guys. Every walk of life is going to show up at these events just as they're going to show up to any local bar, any local lake. And I personally don't understand why you guys are wanting to remove someone that's been bringing in revenue to a public use facility for such a very long time, like 11 years. That's over a decade, you guys. The fights have been out here for a very long time. You've got people that rely on this. You've got people that use the fights as their motivation to stay good, to stay clean in this town, in other towns, from Fairbanks down to Anchorage. You know, you guys just should really appreciate what they do for the community and how much a part everyone is. The staff that they have is all volunteer. We're not made to come and work for these guys. We enjoy them, we enjoy their family, and we enjoy supporting them because they are so amazing. And all of the fighters are. Most of our patrons are pretty amazing too. As with every venue, every place out here that's going to have its occasional drama, things happen. But, you know, ultimately, everyone takes care of it and everyone goes home safe and sound. And someone else said, you know, they bury their folks. They help out when there's other things that happen in life. And it just doesn't seem fair that you guys are wanting to go and send someone out that puts such an amazing event out into the valley once a month in the winter when we have nothing else to do in our cold, cold months out here. There's nothing else to go do that's entertaining. You can do pay-per-view. Raised his hand.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes. You actually work at the venue?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I
And
worked with them for the last 3 seasons as their main waitress.
so you would lose your job if this,
Yes, sir.
thank
And that easily, that once a month pays a utility bill for me.
thank you.
Okay.
Atlantis? If I could ask a question, please.
Mhm.
So you said you've been the main server or head server out there for 3 years.
3 seasons.
How often do you see a situation where, you know, outside help needs to be called in to break up a fight or?
Outside help?
Yeah, like the cops or?
No, I've never seen outside help come in. Never, not once.
So it's all been
I've
handled?
never even seen them come and stroll through like they do at the bar to look for people. 'Cause I also work at Mugshot, guys. Like, the cops don't ever, I've never seen cops stroll in to even come and double check on what's going on.
So in your opinion, then, the staff, be they volunteers or paid, security are able to diffuse situations?
Fully, 100% without a doubt.
Thank you.
Done? Anyone else have questions for me?
Yes, I have a follow-on question then. Are you the only server?
I'm the main one that has stuck around. We do have a few others that come up. It's all on who can show up, who has availability. I have made them one of my primary because I'm very loyal to those that I work for, especially when I like the family. So we do have some other girls that'll come in. We've got 5 or 6 of them, I think, that have circulated through with me. There's been a couple different times that I've been the only one on the floor, and there's been times we've had 2 or 3 other girls with me. Then you've got your bartenders as well, not to mention the security staff that's there. And then we've got the fighters and yada, so forth from there. So we definitely have more servers, more waitresses, but I am the main one and I absolutely rely on it to pay a bill every month.
Thank you.
We done?
If I may, one more time, Madam Mayor. Obviously, you're a professional in the alcohol business, so you know the rules. I mean,
Yes.
I suppose you have a TANs or a TAPS card.
Absolutely.
So you kind of know the rules. Have you ever seen anything where you've had to go to the operators and say, hey, this kind of stuff can't be happening?
No, I think I've only ever once seen one man that came in already drunk, that was already staggering around, and I went and brought it to everyone's attention, to my bartenders and to my security. And everyone kept an eye on him, but we still had no problems. We just kept an eye on him, and I refused to serve him because he was already visibly inebriated to a point that I did not feel comfortable serving him in what is considered a family environment. The bar is not a family environment, the fights is.
But you haven't seen people going outside the area, you know, that AMCO says they could be in with
No.
alcohol?
I've not even seen these folks come out afterwards and come out from the fights drunk and go out to another venue and start problems. Like, these people don't cause problems. They go out to enjoy their night. Most of us use it as our one night a month to, you know, get a babysitter. When I was just a patron, that was absolutely what it was. I'm a single mom. Let me go watch some fights. Let me go watch someone beat each other up for a minute and not pay for it, okay? Absolutely, guys. With that being said, I enjoyed it so much. I've been attending since I was 21 when they were still at the dive over at Charter College before it fell into Billy and Heather's hands. Once it fell into their hands, then yes, I became a waitress as well. I gotta go. Okay.
Ma'am, you're next.
My name's Joanne Smallwood, and my dad is a vet. Maybe I was supposed to cry, but I've known these guys for a long time, and I care for them. So my dad's a Navy vet, and he's been a martial artist since he was 10, and he lives in Juneau. He's been fighting for a very long time in the ring. And for Billy and Heather to have him in the fight in 2015, that was my first fight that I got to see my dad in the ring. Even though he lived in Juneau, it wasn't that far to watch him. So he's fought twice. He won the first fight, and then the second fight that I was able to see him in, he lost that fight to somebody from a rural village. And that is a positive impact to the community and that throughout Alaska. You have a gentleman that's coming from a village, and he has passion and drive to go beat a 69-year-old, which was my father, and win the fight. And he has a hunchback, and he proved himself in the fight to a 69-year-old when my dad's a martial artist for decades. And so you get this gentleman that is driven to go to a fight and show himself, and it's a positive impact throughout Alaska, not just Anchorage, Wasilla, it's throughout the communities, and probably throughout the countries. So hopefully you reconsider. It's a very positive impact for everybody. All strains of life, people with addiction, a clean life, it doesn't matter where you come from. You get to go and vent and get it out of your system, and it's a positive outlook for everybody. Okay, thank you. Okay. Any questions?
I apologize. Can you please repeat your name, first and last name, just so we have it clear?
Joanne Smallwood.
Smallwood?
Yes.
Smallwood.
All right, is there anyone else?
In the back, in the back.
Come forward, please. State your first and last name.
Chelsea Cox. I have fought for them and also volunteered setting their fights up and the whole venue up for about 2 years now. And my first fight was 4 years ago, and I lost, but it gave me encouragement to come back again and actually train. They gave me encouragement to keep going with life, because I'm a single mom of 3. I was a stay-at-home mom for some of it, and that was my only thing that I was able to do outside of being a mom, to get depression out, to get anything out, that I might need. It was, they're some of the most professional people I've ever met. They are hands down responsible about how the whole operation goes and how they want everything set up, how they want everything to be ran, their security, their placement in where they want their security guards, where their placement where they want everybody, where they want to be able to put their alcohol to be safe and to be secluded from wet to dry. I haven't met a lot of more professional people than them in a very, very long time. They have helped me through triumph and error and a lot of things that I don't see a reason why they should be pulled out of the Menard Sports Center. I mean, it is a sport, and I've seen the community come, a lot of the community of Wasilla, Anchorage, Soldotna, Fairbanks, come in and, you know, show support to all the fighters. And I've seen quite a few fighters who are going through, you know, alcohol, you know, addiction, drug addiction, who are currently, you know, a year, 2 years clean from all of it, and doesn't have any thought of going back because of their event. It is a winter event, and it does get dark, and that is what everybody's been saying, like the only event in Wasilla that happens throughout the winter. And it is my once a month release. It's just to go and help out and set up or to fight.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up. Is there anyone else? Hearing none, we will close persons to be heard. And
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move back up the agenda and move to add a committee of the whole to new business to discuss what we've heard tonight regarding the Menard Center and AK Entertainment.
Chair, to Councilmember Graham, you just made a motion, right, off the floor? You just want to add an agenda item at this time?
Revise the agenda and add an agenda item, that is correct.
Maybe the whole new business, it would be our second new business item. It would follow the AM, correct?
That's correct. You make those decisions, I just want to get it going. Do I need a second, or is that what you're saying?
Second.
I'm sorry.
you're good. You're good.
We both second. It's
Okay,
competition.
the motion
Don't do
has
that.
been made by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Is there any objection to the motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
because this hasn't been given public notification, it feels a little bit out of order. Is this something we could bring up at another meeting?
May I respond to that?
I'm sorry?
May I respond?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Councilperson Sullivan Leonard, and I agree, if we were going to take any action tonight, it should certainly be publicly notified, but we're just going to have a committee of the whole to decide perhaps if there is some action needed in the future. So at this point, it's just a discussion. It's not a request for action.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Yes, Colleen.
Thank you. Is it the intent then of Councilmember Graham and Johnson then to move something forward for action? Because my understanding is that the attorney also had notified us as council that there is legal action either pending or legal interpretation that is involved in this case. And if that is in fact true, and if the attorney could guide us on this, I don't want to be involved in a discussion that is going to challenge either party with regard to legal ramifications.
Holly, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I do think that it would be better to wait for a lot of the reasons that Councilmember Sullivan Leonard is stating, but also in order to have a proper agenda item and potentially an executive session as needed. I think that we should put this on the next council meeting.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Holly, for that. But I think what we're trying to find out here is, I mean, we're hearing one side of the story. We haven't heard from the city yet. And as it is the council's responsibility to make sure that funding for the multi-use sports center is available, and we do that every year by expending tax funds on a facility which does not cover its own expenses and of course is not expected to. I think we need to have a little bit of discussion about what's happening over there, and once again, not look for any action tonight, just kind of start the discussion so that we can determine if future action is needed.
Councilmember Graham, and one thing I would say is I agree that you should have the discussion, just not tonight. And the reason why is the issues that you're discussing also raise a quasi-judicial component, right? If you're making a decision for the same reasons you said, you've got individuals coming, but we don't have a notification on the agenda that would lead other individuals to come, and we have a due process risk, because if we're going to talk about the topic and or if decisions or even direction are going to be given on how to deal with it, we want to make sure that the public really knows that this is an agenda item, that this is before council, even for discussion. So I think the best course is to, for all of the reasons you said, to put an agenda item on the next for the next council meeting so that you can take it up again. And that would also allow all of the individuals who came for comment to come back for comment. You know, it doesn't in any way stunt the discussion.
Madam Mayor?
Colleen.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an objection to moving into a committee of the whole.
I was calling for a vote.
Councilmember Sullivan Leonard, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a city clerk. Would you like to call the question? We do technically have a motion pending. Or would you like the discussion to continue and then vote against the motion?
Thank you. Madam Mayor had asked if there was objection. I do object, and I did state my reasons why. And yes, I will do a call of question.
Thank you.
Okay. There has been call of the question. This vote is on whether the call of the question is in order.
Well, actually, Madam Mayor, if I may, the motion to call the question would just halt debate.
Right.
So it would take us immediately to the pending question, which is to add the committee of the whole. So, motion's been made to call the question.
Right.
Is there a second?
Second. It's Councilman Brown.
Okay, so if you vote yes, debate ends, and we're going to immediately take a vote on whether or not to add the committee of the whole session under new business. Is everybody clear on what they're voting on?
If we vote yes, we're adding it?
No. If you vote yes, you're calling the question, debate stops, and then we're going to immediately, without any more discussion, we're going to immediately take the vote on the motion to add the committee of the whole. Is everybody clear? So this is on the motion to call the question. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
No.
Councilmember Johnson.
No.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio.
It's no.
No. Okay, Madam Mayor, that motion fails with Councilmembers Sullivan, Leonard, and Brown in favor. Councilmembers Graham, Johnson, and Rubio opposed. Councilmember Vlock is absent, so the discussion can continue on the motion to add the committee of the whole.
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Johnson.
So, Counselor, the issue in question is that the committee as a whole will allow the council to ask questions of the administration for the administration to be prepared for the next meeting. We do not expect answers at the current time, but without having a fairness to say and ask questions to the administration, we would be just right back to the same place that we would be if we were to be discussing it as a committee as a whole and trying to take action tonight. So yes, I agree that we cannot take an action at this particular meeting, but we should be able to at least ask questions to be answered at a later date. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Councilmember Brown.
I clearly understand what Councilman is trying to do with his motion, but the fact that there is a legal question that we are not privy to all the aspects of that, I feel to put city employees on the spot to answer questions could have a negative impact on that, and I think we should allow that process to continue and bring it back to us, and then we can open this back up for public and anyone else to ask their questions and answer those questions. But we don't want to mess up the process that's going forward because we don't have all the information in front of us. So you're going to ask employees to say something that could jeopardize that. So I would hope that Mr. Graham would withdraw his motions, and let's wait until we get further information from the city employees and from the city attorney before we open this up and information damage where we're trying to go. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Brown, for your comments there. I have not been advised of any legal action regarding the Menard Center. I would assume that if that were happening, all of the council would be aware of that. It's my understanding from Mr. Christensen that he has not been advised of any legal action pending against him or proposed against him, other than he said when he called to try and talk with the administration, he was told that he would need a lawyer to do that. So if there's some legal action pending that's going to make it where we shouldn't be talking about this, we should be made aware of it, much like Councilperson Sullivan Leonard said. We should know in advance of what's going on, not find out at the last minute when we're trying to respond to the largest crowd I've seen this year. When we're trying to respond and being told, well, no, we can't talk about it because we might do this or we might do that. I would also remind Mr. Brown and others that city staff works for the mayor. The mayor can elect to have them decline to answer if it's getting into someplace that the mayor thinks would be uncomfortable legal ground. Thank you.
Do we have further discussion on this? You guys ready to vote? State the motion.
Thank you. This, what you're going to be voting now is to add a committee of the whole item under new business and to simply council discuss in committee the whole, the testimony that was brought forward this evening. Do I have that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
No.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
No.
Okay, Madam Mayor, that motion fails with Council Members Graham, Johnson, and Rubio in support. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard and Brown opposed. Councilmember Vlock is absent, and just for the sake of the audience, per our Wasilla Municipal Code, you need 4 votes in the affirmative to carry any measure before the council. And that 4 is based on the total membership of the body. It doesn't lower because we have 1 absent member.
Madam Mayor, once again, I ask to move back up the agenda to approval of the agenda to move item 8.3.1 to new business. And for those of you that aren't reading the agenda, it's a discussion about a mat column. That has nothing to do with AK entertainment.
New business.
So I need a second for that. Third one.
We're under 2, we are.
Where are we now?
5-minute recess?
Yeah. We are taking a 5-minute recess at 7:19. We'll be back on the record at 7:24.
here. To the driver's foot.
The consent agenda. Okay. We are back on the record at 7:26. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the items for approval under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have the regular meeting minutes of July 11th, 2022. We have one introduction, recommended public hearing date of August 8th, 2022. That's ordinance serial number 2226, amending the Wasilla Municipal Code 524-010 grant conditions by adopting subsection C, authorizing the City Council to adopt non-reoccurring grant programs by ordinance outside of the grant conditions codified in Wasilla Municipal Code 524-010A. We have one resolution under the consent agenda this evening. That's resolution serial number 2212, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agency partnership agreement with the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities to support the Parks Highway Alternative Corridor Planning and Environmental Linkage Study. We have three action memorandums for approval under our consent agenda. The first is AM number 2222, authorizing the purchase of GSB 88 oil sand from Emulsion Products Company in the amount of $50,000 for the airport apron sanding ceiling, Phase 2. AM number 2225, authorizing the purchase of 210 tons of road salt from Bering Marine Corporation in the amount of $42,279 for road sanding operations. And lastly, AM number 2226, confirmation of election officials serving at the October 4th, 2022 regular city election.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Councilman Brown, move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Brown and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. There's no unfinished business, and we are on to new business. Madam Clerk.
I'll take, unless there's objection from the body, we'll take these actually in order. Is that okay? We'll take the resolution first. Resolution serial number 2211, authorizing the reclassification of 2 emergency dispatch positions into 2 call taker positions, 1 emergency dispatch position into 1 dispatch supervisor, quality improvement position, and 1 emergency dispatch position into 2 part-time emergency dispatch positions.
Madam Mayor, I move resolution serial number 2211.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Just for the record, I have no objection to what's going on here, but I am going to ask Mr. Butcher if he can kind of go through with us what we've got now, what we're going to end up with, and how this is going to affect our capacity to take and respond to calls, if that's okay with the administration.
Thank you, Councilmember Graham. Going back to MACOM's inception in 2004, picking up additional contract for services with the state of Alaska, the Matsu Borough Emergency Services, Houston Fire Department, City of Palmer, and other entities. Staffing levels have ebbed and flowed and fluctuated to meet the demand. Currently, we're sitting at a staffing level of 4 dispatch supervisors, 3 dispatch call takers, and 22 emergency dispatch positions. We have been stagnant on our supervisory level and our call taker levels for several years now. Our population has increased over the COVID pandemic with people moving out here from the Anchorage area. Call volumes have increased with medical issues with that as well. What I'm looking at here is something that has been evident for a while, but what I was waiting for was the actual hard numbers and data, which with attendance to the NENA conference in June, I was able to spend a substantial amount of time plugging in 3 years worth of data from Human Resources Department, our call volumes, et cetera. into the NENA staffing model, and I finally got the data that confirmed my belief that the majority of our workload within dispatch stems from the phone call volume as opposed to the radio dispatch positions. That in combination of the constant vacancy rate of our emergency dispatch positions, I believe that those can be better utilized as call taker positions, which can be recruited, hired, trained, and released to the floor in a much shorter amount of time. Training for an emergency dispatch position can range anywhere from 6 to 7 to 8 months, depending on the candidate, whereas our call taker training program is somewhere between 10 weeks. And we can get those call takers released to be handling the phone call volume. This will in turn relieve workload off of the emergency dispatch positions and allow those radio operators to focus on the first responders in the field as opposed to trying to juggle phone calls and radio traffic at the same time. The other side of that is the call takers that don't have to handle a radio are more able to focus completely on the caller and processing the emergency call coming in.
Could you mentioned the numbers of what we have now, supervisors, call takers, and dispatchers. What would it look like if this were approved?
If this is approved, we would we'd be taking one full-time dispatch position and replacing that with, we'd be taking 2 emergency dispatch positions and replacing that with 2 call taker positions. So we'd be dropping down to 20 emergency dispatchers. We'd be taking another emergency dispatch position and splitting that into 2 part-time positions, which is a tool that I've been wanting to utilize for quite some time now when we lose dispatchers due to changing life events, whether they have children or they have other personal needs where they can't dedicate themselves to full-time shift work, but they're still willing and able to come back and work on a part-time basis. We just don't have that capability at this point. So it turns into an unfortunate circumstance where we've invested so much time and money into these dispatchers to get them fully trained and operational on the dispatch floor. And then due to life-changing circumstances, we have to cut them completely when they're still able to be contributing in some beneficial manner to the center.
And then I'm just trying to get my head around the numbers here. You're taking another dispatch position in addition to the 3 that you already talked about and turning that one into a dispatch supervisor quality improvement.
Correct.
So as a dispatch supervisor, they're still on the radio, or are they sitting in the back chair?
Correct, and that's something you need to take into account as it is with our 4 dispatch supervisors. They're not sitting back supervising and just watching and waiting for a problem to arise. They're actually working supervisors that are answering the phones and dispatching on the radio as well. So those 4 dispatch supervisor positions that are currently staffed are actually working the floor on a daily basis, myself included at this point. So essentially, if we continue on the 12-hour shift model that we're on, that creates 4 teams that need to be staffed, and that would leave us with 6 dispatchers per team, plus the 5 call takers.
And do you think this new staffing level might cut down on some overtime because it's a little more efficient, or just to be seen?
It would, as is going on nationally right now. There's a staffing shortage in general, but much less in the public safety realm. There's some emergency dispatch centers like Santa Fe, New Mexico, for example, that are sitting at about a 70% vacancy rate for their comm center. We're not close to that at this point. Keeping my fingers crossed because I don't want to see that day come. But I feel that having the call takers, especially taking that extra workload off the emergency dispatch positions, would help spread the workload around and make the dispatch position a little less stressful and more manageable.
Thank you, Mr. Butcher. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor.
Any questions for Jacob? Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Councilman. Not so much of the question as to say thank you for the work you put into the report. I know what it requires to reclassify and justify making these kind of changes and stuff. And it's more than just the number of calls, it's the stress that go with those calls that cause the vacancy rates around the country. And to get people to replace, to come back in and fill those jobs and stuff. So I just appreciate the amount of work you put into this. And you've been working on it for a while and stuff. And I hope as people read this and ask questions, they can begin to understand just how much stress there is inside of a dispatch office. A lot of people think it's just police officers on the road that have stress, but the dispatchers have almost as much and sometimes higher because they can't do anything about what's going on. So thank you for the amount of work you put into this.
Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor, if I could make one more comment, I just want to bring a good recognition to our crew that's there. We have such an incredibly dedicated team of dispatch personnel in there right now, even with our current vacancy rate and staffing shortage. Councilmember Graham, you mentioned at one point call volumes and time to process calls. And the NENA standard right now is to answer 90% of the 911 calls within 15 seconds and 95% within 20 seconds. And MACCOM has consistently year over year met 99.9% compliance with that standard. So even with our short staffing, our crew is keeping on it and pushing forward.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion is passed. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, next item under new business this evening is AM number 2224, authorizing the mayor to purchase vehicles off the lot as they become available from dealers in an amount not to exceed $190,000.
Mayor, I move action memorandum number 2224.
Is there a second?
Second by Councilman Johnson.
The motion's been made by Councilmember Graham, seconded by Councilmember Johnson. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor. So once again, I don't necessarily have an objection to this, but I would like some more information on this. Essentially, we're buying 2 vehicles off the lot for an estimated $190,000. And as part of the team that looked through the budget, it seems like we're paying significantly more than we had planned on. If we're going to have to continue to buy vehicles with this sort of overage, how is that going to affect our ability to continue to buy the planned vehicles if they become available? So are we going to be able to buy 20% less vehicles, 30% less vehicles? Are the vehicles that we're replacing or adding in this case, are we buying them near what we thought they were? I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
Yeah, thank you. Through the mayor, Councilmember Graham. Close to this, sorry. There's 2 vehicles this year. Rhodes is requesting a 1-ton flatbed with a 5,000-pound winch ability to lift signposts, new signposts that DOT have that are super heavy. They're about 3,000 pounds with those posts and the whole setup to set on the posts. So it's a little bit different as we get some more of these intersections that DOT has given us. We have to change the way we do some of the signs. So that's part of it, with the specialty piece in the flatbed portion of that.
And was this the vehicle that we were planning on buying? And
yes, this has been on the list for 2 years now.
is the price somewhere near what we were planning on, or?
It is close, and that's why this increased to 190 versus 150 last year, to have a little bit of capacity. And the other larger one is and this is replacing one of our older vehicles that we've been having fits with for the last 3 years. And the utilities vehicle is a steam thawer unit that's going to be a 450 or a 550 size with a 14-foot box being custom put on it. That would then put in all of our steam thaw equipment to replace an 80s model steamer that's been barely going for the last few years. So it's 2 pieces. It's been on the list for quite some time, and it's just in this day and age, we have it is a call from the Ford dealer, yesterday saying, "Oh, we have a line on somebody that dropped this vehicle. It's yours. We know you're on the list," and the ability then to secure it or lose it. So that's kind of where we're at this day and age. You can't even order a 1-ton pickup. The best guess Ford says is September, maybe. It's just a maybe. That's where we're at.
And with us paying these prices, is that going to affect your department's ability to get the other vehicles that you wanted to get during the year, or?
No, we were able to secure 3 vehicles here right before June, and they were 2 used that you were paying almost new prices for, unfortunately, but they were only 2 years old, low miles, decent vehicles. we were able to find and buy off the lot. So, yeah, they're not brand. We did buy one brand new one for about the same price as the used ones. The only one we found in the valley after searching through 4 dealerships.
Thank you. That helps clear my mind. I appreciate this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Johnson?
I'm sorry, that question almost answered it then. So you will not be coming back to us then with an increase in your budget request? Or will you?
Oh, I definitely will next year, yeah.
Next year. Okay, I'm prepared.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is passed. We are on to communications. Madam Clerk, please read the titles of the items under communications.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. IAMS is IM number 2208, monthly financial reports for the period ending June 30th, 2022, to include the month-to-date expenditure report and disbursements greater than $10,000, the investment report, quarterly report of businesses receiving a penalty waiver for sales tax, and the auditor's report. We have one set of commission meeting minutes. That's the Parks and Rec Commission minutes, July 13th, 2022.
Thank you. We are at audience comments. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council at this time? Come forward, state your name, and you've got 3 minutes.
Hi, so my name's Jamie Donnelly, and you called me earlier, and I apologize for not being here. And I'm from Anchorage, and I just came here because I really support the boxing organization, and I think it's really beneficial for the community. And I know a lot of people that are actively involved in the Wasilla boxing, and I'm actively involved in it, and I've just seen a lot of positive things come from it with the youth. And that's about it. I just came out here to support boxing, and we like coming out here in the wintertime to support boxing. It's fun. It brings me out to this area, and I spend money here, so that's a good thing for you guys. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sir, come forward, state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Wayne DeVore, and you're talking about fiscal, so my question is in direct regards to, does the public facility, the Menard Center, make money? My understanding is it loses about $800,000 a year, is that correct? So why are we trying to kick some of the longest paying tenants out of it if they're paying part of the public's bill? I'm trying to figure out what's going on there, because hasn't to do with boxing, it has to do with what's going on fiscally with that facility. As Wasilla residents should be very concerned if tenants that are paying part of that bill are being blackballed for some reason behind the scenes. So we can't figure out what's going on. We just want some straight answers in that regard. Does anybody have any information why they would be, do they not pay their bills? Right, click.
Joan, Finance Director.
Joan Miller, Finance Director. So just to give you a little history as far as the sports complex is by the general fund. Anywhere from $500,000 to $600,000 in a year. I think the presumption would be that if a slot was not, you're correct, if they were not there and that revenue was displaced, that there could be other events. So it's not a one-for-one. Would be the only point I would want to make from a fiscal standpoint.
Okay.
Right.
Scott?
Scott Bell, Recreational Services Director. In general, for example, the fiscal year 2022, our revenue budget, our goal was $720,000, of which this last year we actually were $120,000 over. So we actually brought in 120,000 above budget. Right now, we're softly tracking $120,000 less in expense. Yes, there is outlays. Some of that is capital purchases, things like that. In general, the group we're talking about last year's revenue was approximately $8,000, which, again, we have plans in place for full operations where we've already made rate increases to the facility, which we believe we will actually surpass next year's budget goal. So next year's budget goal is $835,840 in revenue, which we did this year, and we anticipate probably to exceed that without any major COVID scenario. But if that event is not going on, the revenue can be replaced by multiple other groups that we have.
So you have that on. So you have offers that are currently want to replace that for more money.
So basically, historically would be, if there's an event like that, they would put in their date request. If they get it, then we tell the other organizations that it's no longer available. So for example, we have, I think, 2 soccer groups that usually would operate those nights, but they don't because of the fights. So the space gets used different ways.
You guys can finish this conversation offline.
Offline. Thank you.
Off the record. Okay. Is there anyone else? David?
Thank you. For the record, this is David Wilson. Before I was senator, and this is my candidate hat for senator for District N, new district, and I just want to talk a little bit about the state primary election coming up on August 16th. I just want to make sure folks don't get confused that may be watching or in the audience that it's a pick one for your state primary and it's ranked choice for that special election to replace Don Young. And so I would be honored to continue to represent this wonderful city. I'm a city resident, been a city council member, and have done wonderful partnerships with the city over my tenure. And as Rep. Sullivan Leonard, former Representative Sullivan Leonard, council member Sullivan Leonard may know that we've done some items to bring like paving to KGB, the repaving for the Parks Highway along the Palmer-Wasilla corridor area there was something that we championed. Been providing 6 years, make sure you guys get your full community revenue sharing portion and fighting for your local control related issues. And I would just be honored to continue to serve this wonderful community. And I look forward to spending more time here within the city and getting to know some of the neighbors as we continue on with the campaign efforts. And with that, if anyone has questions, I'll be here afterwards. And if you want to learn how to get a sign and support the campaign, you can go to the website for davidwilsonforsenate.com. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We are now at Mayor Clerk. Tom, I'm sorry I didn't see you.
Couldn't see me? I'm in the front row.
No, I'm old and blind.
I'm Stearns, not speaking for Wassie. I've been coming to these things for 8 years now, and I have not seen this much support for something, whatever it is, for a long, long time. I don't know anything about boxing. I don't know anything about what these folks have been talking about all night, but I know they have a passion, and they care, and they're really concerned about whatever it is that they're doing, and whatever the Menard Center is doing. And so if there's any possible way that the two entities can get together and talk, that would be a great thing, because there's a lot of passion on this thing, whatever it is. So thank you very much.
Ian. You have 3 minutes. State your first, last name.
My name is Ian Crafton. I am here as a city resident, also as a member of the city that is running for city council this fall on October 4th. I'm looking forward to weighing in on these types of conversations. Been been attending for most of this year now to these meetings, and I agree it's been a very full night tonight, and it has been an open discussion and just the passion that people have had behind this. It's definitely why I'm wanting to get involved, is so that I can put my thoughts and opinions and bring forth what our constituents want. And apparently this is something that's very interesting. So again, my name's Ian Crafton, Crafton for Alaska. I'm running for City Council this fall. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Maybe you could teach the senator military ranks.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we are on to the mayor, clerk, attorney, council comments. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For those council members that are attending the upcoming AML Summer Legislative Conference in Sitka, travel packets were distributed this evening. You do have your per diem checks there, so make sure those aren't direct deposit. You'll need to cash those checks before you travel. If there's anything you need from us before you leave, don't hesitate to contact us. Next regular meeting, August 8th. And we do have our candidate filing period open at this time. We have 2 seats on the city council available for election. That candidate filing period does close this Friday at 5 o'clock. So if anybody's interested in running for one of our 2 open council seats, if you have questions, contact my office. Candidate filing packet is available online or pick up from my office. So thank you.
What date is that election for the municipality, for the city?
City is October 4th.
October 4th.
Until October. So we'll take one election at a time. We have the state primary coming up, and although I don't administer that.
Okay, Madam Attorney.
No comment, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and a big thanks to everybody that came tonight. I know they've all dissipated, but this is what municipal government ought to be about. It's about people expressing their opinions in a civil manner, having discussions, getting questions answered so that they understand, how the city is operating, what the needs of the city are, and how the city tries to meet the needs of the public, and how we provide infrastructure for a wide variety of things. So it was great to see this many people here. I was commenting to Tom earlier. I don't even think we had this many people here when we were talking about marijuana. So, but it's great to see these people here. Jamie, thank you for traveling from Anchorage. It means a lot for somebody to come out and weigh in, from outside the area. And just because folks aren't citizens of Wasilla doesn't mean they don't have something to say, because Wasilla is the commercial center of the valley. So if you come out to the valley, chances are 80% of the money that you spend, you're probably going to spend in Wasilla. So we want to meet the needs just of the citizens. We want to meet the needs of the businesses, and we want to meet the needs of the visitors as well. So thanks everybody for coming up. I also wanted to mention to Scott, Music in the Park, hit it out of the park, so to speak. It was good. I went to 3 of them. Crowds were bigger this year than they had been in the last couple of years, which was great. Everybody was having a good time. So I know you mentioned you're going to continue that program and maybe enhance it a little bit, but great job with that. And that's what happens when we continue to work with the same folks over and over. Things just get better and better. I also wanted to extend my thanks to the election officials for the borough election and to offer my plea to people to get trained to become election officials, whether it's for the city, whether it's for the borough, whether it's for the state. It takes a lot to make that happen, and those are long days when you're doing that. But if we want to have election integrity and we want things to go right, if you have the opportunity to get trained and to volunteer, please do so, because that's a big thing. And as Senator Wilson mentioned, the next of 40 elections that we're having this year is August 16th, and it is a combined election. So there's going to be a bunch of ballots, because you'll have a state ballot, you know, and you're going to have the federal ballots, and you're going to have primary ballots. So things are going to be confusing if we don't, you know, look forward to it, and if we don't get the right people behind the desk to be election officials that can say, okay, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do that. It is unfortunate that we kind of separate, you know, here in Alaska, we kind of separate the state election from everybody else, so you have to check in twice, you know, to get the ballots that you need. And in some cities, you may need to check in 3 times to get the ballots that you need, because there may be a city election, a borough election, and a state-run election at the same time. So please remind people that the election is more than just one thing on the ballot. There's multiple things on the ballot, and there's multiple ballots. You know, so hopefully we'll be able to work through that. So next thing I have is just a question for you, Joan. I know we've got the quarterly report of businesses that received a penalty waiver. Has our policy on that changed because the administration essentially has changed in finance, or is it the same as it always has been over the year? Or not, I won't say always, but is it the same as it was under your predecessor, as far as how many waivers they could get and so on and so forth?
That is, this policy has not changed.
Okay.
So per code, as long as they are in good standing, have never had a penalty waiver in the past 12 months, then they are, you know, automatically eligible. So there's not a lot of discretion going into these penalty waivers. They have to meet the criteria.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell you how to run your business, but whenever there's a change, I always kind of have to ask, what has something changed that's going to affect the folks out there? And then while I'm picking on staff over here, Bob, you know, we've had Main Street couplet project come out. It was our last meeting and talk about it. There were some citizen concerns there. Has DOT scheduled any more opportunities for the public to be heard en masse, so to speak, or are they strictly relying on the website to get feedback?
Nothing that I'm aware of currently. The only thing we've recently had is some right-of-way discussions and some discussions there on the little parcels that they're from the city. So that's all.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. And last thing is just get out and vote. It's right around the corner. And you can request an absentee ballot if you're not sure if you're going to be in town or whatever. It's easy to request that ballot. All you got to do is, you know, fill out the form essentially, and they will send you the ballot. And then you vote the ballot. You have somebody witness your signature, not witness what you, not witness how you voted, but witness your signature and send that back in. So please vote, and please vote in both elections. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank everybody for participation. And thank Senator Wilson for his update, but I hope he come back and spend additional time. There's a lot more happening, you know, than the 3 minutes he gave us. So hopefully he'll come back and give us more update. Thank you.
Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Hi, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo, thank you, Senator, for coming to give input tonight. You and I have worked really closely over, gosh, it's been, I think, a decade now or more. And appreciate your hard work and diligence in Juneau and here locally. And then just wanted to ask a quick question of the administration. I know tonight we talked about dispatch positions, and I know those are hard to fill spots. Do we have any other areas that are presently open at the city of Wasilla that you're having a hard time filling?
We have WPD, Menard Center, Controller, IT. Bob, do you have any in Public Works?
Utilities, but we have an
Utilities.
offer.
But we've got an offer out on that one, so.
Oh, very good. Well, I heard that, you know, across the nation, a lot of local governments are having a hard time filling positions, and I figured we were of no exception, that probably would have that same challenge. Anyway, thank you, Madam Mayor. And then also just real quickly with regard to the Menard Center and the contracts that they have with different vendors. I for one, am not one that has gone to the fights at the Menard Center. I've heard both good and bad with regard to what happens during the fights and after. I've had discussions with Scott Bell. I've had discussions with Billy Christensen. So there are two sides to every story. Bottom line is it's the administration that sets the contracts that utilize the Menard Center. And so I look forward to the discussion next meeting, just so that, you know, everybody's aware not only of the challenges just of managing the Menard Center, but, you know, sometimes contracts are not fulfilled or not overseen as they should. So discussion coming forward, I think, is important. And that's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, thank you very much. A number of things. As we're going into this, I believe that we have now entered into the new budget year. Is that correct? So we then ended up with a slight surplus. Is that correct?
So I am anticipating our outcome to be a favorable year, largely due to CARES Act reimbursement. But we have many accounting entries to be posted, of which one of those is the sales tax receivable, which we can't even do until the end of August, just by way of how that's determined.
So tonight we also heard testimony of street and road repairs that could possibly benefit from some additional funding. Are we in a position to use some of that money then to actually resolve some of the issues that we heard tonight?
So I'm thinking, and this is where, that the council approved a paving program. And I think maybe what really needs to go forth to the public is that paving outline so that they understand when their road is up and how much time they're. I think that would probably be step one. And then certainly if that doesn't cover everything, or if we have, other road needs, that would come during part of the capital improvement project budgeting.
Correct.
For next year.
The issue that I see is that it seems to be that we're in the same position as like last year, where we actually had approval for the plan. Okay, we had funds for the plan, but we ran out of construction season because we didn't really get the contracts in, and roads like Robert Street, which was on the budget last year, fell to this year because we ran out of time. So what I'm trying to do is, if we've got additional money, let's get the contracts in place, spend the money so we can actually fix some of the problems that our citizens are complaining about. That's all I've got.
Okay. Councilmember Rubio.
Madam Mayor, the community outpour tonight, I think was awesome. Especially as a multi-business owner myself, there was a lot of heart and passion on the table. Definitely to piggyback the voting, you got to get out and vote. And then MatCom, it's incredible what's going on there. Love being part of that. I think that's it.
I would encourage the council members, if you've never toured MatCom, is to get a hold of Jacob and let him give you a tour. I go over once in a while, and I went in one day, and one of the dispatchers was at the console going, 2, 3, 4, you got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep at it. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? And then it dawned on me, they were given CPR instruction. And that, it was during one of the worst storms we had last winter, and the road hadn't been plowed to get the ambulance in there and whatever, and luckily the guy lived. That's not always the outcome, but I have the utmost respect for that department and all that they do for us. And it's just not the city that they do it for. They dispatch for AST and EMS and, fire, everything. So I have the utmost respect for Jacob and his team. He's got a good team, and he runs it well.
I agree.
So, anyway, to tonight's outpouring of community, let me say, first of all, there is another side to the story that everybody don't know, but will know in the next at the next meeting, and myself or any of my staff will never put this city in jeopardy of anything. So, and it's not, when you have to make decisions, it's not always easy because it may not be favorable to the community. So, having said that, in my opinion, the people elected me to make sure that I safeguard this city, and I will do that to my utmost best. And I appreciate my directors because I hired them to be directors to run their department, and they're everyone very capable of doing that. And I rely on them to, in accordance with me, to keep this city running, to keep our people safe, and to keep our city out of trouble. So with that, there's nothing further on the agenda. We are adjourning at 8:07 p.m.